Okay, so you ready to see your personal classics?
Hell yeah.
All right.
Wow.
Peace, this is Just Blaze. I'm teaming up with the homie, the one and only, the super talented Katty Customs, and we're designing one-of-one kicks for some of the biggest and most important names in our culture. Now today we have a man who's beloved in hip-hop across multiple generations, decades, and eras. A true original and one half of one of the biggest rap groups on the planet. Now to make his kicks, Katty and I wanted to honor his influences, especially his inventive eye for visual art and his dedication to independence. Will today's guest vibe with his custom shoes? Will our guesses about his influences hit the mark? Welcome to Fresh Pair.
El-P, El Producto, what up?
Hi, how you doing?
Good.
Nice to meet you.
too.
I'm Katty.
What you got on your feet, though?
Yeah, what you got?
Oh, it's like that already?
Yeah, it's like that already.
This is what we here to
I'm loving that color combo.
So confrontational.
Yeah.
These are Bacons. My man, Dave Ortiz.
Right.
I don't know if you know Dave.
Yeah.
He used to have a spot called Dave's Quality Meats.
Okay.
And he's been a friend of mine for years. And
Nice.
I don't know when the originals that he dropped, but he reissued them. And
Oh, they came back out?
I think they came back out last year. And I was on his neck about him, so he gave them to me. So shout out to...
I missed that boat. Shout out to Dave.
So LPZ, you know, I kind of call you LPZ. That's, you know, I mean, I give nicknames, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But
Killer Mike calls me LPZ as well.
Oh, good. So
LPZ.
So LPZ. Okay, so I did a lot of research on you about your company flow, you know, how you started to where you are now, and you know, we came up with a shoe to kind of like
Hell yeah.
from your start to your now.
Cool.
You know, from start to finish. You know what I'm saying?
Excited.
So, are you excited to see the shoes?
I'm super excited.
Okay, so you ready to see your personal classics?
Hell yeah.
All right.
Wow.
You like these?
Amazing. You mind if I...
Oh, go ahead, please.
Please do.
Wow. And just to let you know, these shoes were all white. I didn't buy a gray pair of shoes and just put artwork on them.
Really?
Yeah.
No, yeah.
That's
like,
incredible.
You like it?
Oh, it's beautiful. How do you... This was white leather?
That was all white leather.
Wow.
The entire sneaker. Here, you want to flip the shoe so you can see this one too?
Oh, are there differences? Okay.
Oh, this is a lot of surprise. So, you know,
Damn.
we're glad you like it off of first impression.
Yes.
And you got the
You like that, huh?
so
Hey, but touch that though.
The
You feel
EPMD
that?
reference is crazy.
See?
Yeah.
You like that, don't you?
Oh,
That's
yeah.
what
I
happens
love
when
that.
you're friends
It's
with the
incredible.
co-designer. So, I want to talk a little bit about that. It's funny that you picked that up first. You know, the EPMD reference. You know, we both have a long history with Jared, who runs Uproxx, used to run Raucous. Yep. And one story that he always used to tell was, you know, because of a lot of your presentation and the way you did things, people would try to sometimes like paint you in a different box than what you were actually trying to portray. And one of your main things that you always used to say was, I come from EPMD.
Yeah,
like, y'all are trying to put me in this other weird space. It's like, I grew up on You're a Customer. I grew up on So What You're Saying. Like, that's me. You know what I mean? Was there something specific where EPMD was a linchpin for you? 'Cause I know what it was for me. I'm curious for you.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, first of all, shout out to Hayes, who did the original.
Yes, of course.
For those who don't know, Hayes is he did a lot of iconic logos of that era.
It's classic.
And I see you loving that on the top.
Oh, I love it.
Like
I love it. Absolutely.
You looking at it, you feeling it. You like the 3D type
well,
of
because
feel.
it's my favorite group, but it says LP. You know
Right,
what I mean?
exactly.
Yeah, we were sitting there talking, and I was like, wait a minute. EPMD E-LP. We have to do it.
Had to.
Yeah,
We gotta do it.
And now I will steal that. And
Yes.
sell it
That
on a
is your-
T-shirt.
that is your
Shout
logo.
out to Hayes.
20% Hayes.
Don't worry, we got you, bro.
I mean, you know, look, I grew up on them. I grew up on the whole Def Jam era, you know, from the early Def Jam era to later. I mean, when I started a record label, I was an homage to Def Jam, you know, which they didn't find that cute at the time. Yeah. So, you know, for me, I think a lot of my production style and a lot of my influences kind of came from what they were doing. I think that not only just as rappers, but as a production outfit, dudes like us kind of like if you came up on them, you have a particular sensibility in terms of what funk is and what a grimy approach to
right.
You know.
Well, see, that's what I love about them, and we actually talked about this yesterday. It was like with EPMD, before they were rhyming on Zapp and and Roger and George Clinton. It's music we all grew up on from our parents.
Right.
But back then it was like party music. It was upbeat. You associate it more with having fun, right?
Yeah.
And then they come and slow it down like 4 or 5 BPMs.
Yeah.
The subject matter changes. The notes are all still the same.
Yeah.
But
all of a sudden it's hard. All of a sudden, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
And in a lot of ways, I think that EPMD could be credited, and maybe I'll catch some heat for saying this, but I think that their reappropriation of funk actually was part of the West Coast evolution to some degree.
That's a conversation for sure.
At least they shared that fascination, and so they were doing it from an East Coast perspective.
Okay.
And they were turning these records that plenty of people have sampled Parliament and it's.
But they didn't sound like that.
But it didn't sound like you were robbing somebody.
Right.
And that was what was, they're sort of like the half bar loop. EPMD kind of invented that shit. And I think that they were the first kind of dudes with sampling that were doing these sort of start and stop, you know what I mean? Like hard hitting.
Right.
And also just as rappers, they're definitely the most influential for me, for sure. And to go back to what you were saying about what Jared was saying about how sort of misinterpretation of what I did, that's not something that's like a big point in my intellectually for me, or like I'm not like bitter, like motherfuckers don't understand me. I think I realized at a certain point that I wasn't making shit that sounded like EPMD.
Right.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like there's this when you're young, you're making shit, your influences are so important to you that you don't really hear what you're doing.
Right.
You know?
You definitely have your own lane, for sure.
And I think that, but I think that that's the strength of what influence is. I think influence is only supposed to be something that informs you, that pushes you in a direction, that makes you want to learn in a particular way, that is important to you, but you're never supposed to really sound like what you love.
Another conversation that Katty and I had was about when you first branched off, kind of said, all right, I'm gonna do my own thing here. And we have a certain detail that's linked to that. I don't know if you want to get into it.
I mean, do you see do you know where that's from?
I'm trying. Oh, give me a second.
No, go ahead. I want you to analyze. I want you to see. I want you to really look at
really
that.
Trying to. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Where it's from?
Fantastic Damage.
Exactly. Yeah, Fantastic Damage. And I wanted to put that, on the shoe for you because, that was one of the first albums you dropped. You know what I mean? So I know that means something.
It does. It was the first solo record that I ever did in 2002. I had no interest in being a solo artist. It was like, but my group company Flow just spectacularly fell apart. Right when we were blowing up, it was like, fuck you! Which is not like a unique story, but this is the first, from the first record, it's artist Dan Lang. I met him at that time, and we were trying to come up with an album cover, and I remember he was sort of submitting stuff, and
so how did that album cover stick with you?
Well, it was. Remember, I always felt bad about this because I was really stressed out when I was doing this record, and I had spent like 4 years making this record.
Wow.
And not just straight, but I was doing other stuff. I was producing a record for a group called Cannibal Ox. I was doing random stuff, but when we finally started working with Dan Lang to do the cover of my first solo record, I was so frazzled that I think he brought me some ideas, and I was like, this is fucking garbage, what are you doing? I worked for 4 years on this record. This is a weird picture of me, And then I just was looking through his stuff, like his work.
Stuff that he wasn't necessarily doing for you.
Had nothing to do with me, and there was this beautiful, abstract, fucked up, colorful painting that I saw, and I looked at it, and I knew in that moment, I was just like, this is what you hope, this is from this guy. This is really from him. It's the best, and I think that artists are like this. You're always gonna really care the most about something you're making for yourself.
Straight up.
It's always really the most important thing. At the end of the day, no matter what you can do, no matter how good you are as a functionary to help somebody with their vision, at the end of the day, there's something about tapping into who you are as an artist.
Absolutely.
In which there's no idea of presenting it to anybody else. You know? And I saw this and I was like, this means as much to him as my music means as much to me right now.
Right.
And I was just like, that's it. And so that was what this came from.
You know what? And I like that story because when designing the shoe, my first thoughts, I like to go crazy with the designs, right?
Yeah.
So my thought was like, okay, I'm about to go crazy. Everything. The toe box gonna be something. The mud guard gonna be something. Everything gonna have a different art piece.
Here, maybe.
Yeah.
Little Tron lights.
You know what I'm saying? Oh, it was about to be glowing lights and all types of stuff on this shoe, right? But after talking with Just Blaze, he was saying he's a little settled. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
still dope, still cool, but just take it down a notch. You know what I mean? Which is still taking it up a notch because the shoes came out super dope. You don't always have to put a lot of artwork or a lot of whatever to tell the story.
What happens is, and then it allows the elements that are there to just pop.
Exactly.
As opposed to just having a shoe where there's so much.
Which is something that people like me and Just always, that concept is how you always have to contend with music, Like, whether it be a rapper, a singer, a piece of music, or whether it be, this is a piece of art from you, you're making it, but you have guidelines and you have...
Exactly.
And that's a huge thing. Making choices is a huge thing, and I think it kind of separates, the adults from the kids.
No, that's facts.
Well, somebody said this the other day. A great producer is listening to a song to figure out what he can take out to allow the song to breathe more.
Right.
Yeah, trust me, I wish I had learned that concept in the first 3 records I did and shit. And
you've always been known for super expressive, different art, like artwork on your album covers, right? You don't necessarily have to have your face or your logo or whatever. It's just this is the art that represents my project.
Yeah.
Outside of you, what are the 5 best rap album covers ever?
Oh, come on, man.
Yeah, you gotta give it to us, though.
I gotta give you the best 5 rap album covers?
All right, 3. Give us 3. They don't have to be the best.
Take
you know
your
what?
time.
No, you know what? No, it's not even that. Your favorites that come to mind first. They don't necessarily have to be the best. Because when you say something's the best,
all right, Cool J, I'm Bad.
Yes.
There's just something about that photograph.
When he's standing on top
of the car.
Yeah.
And is that like a school that he's in front of?
It looks like it. Or
like
a jail, I don't know.
I don't know what it is, yeah.
It's some building it's some gated building.
Yeah, so I would say that. I would say Fat Boys, when they're standing on the pizza box.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
It's
the first album.
Okay.
Yeah, the first album, 3 miniature Fat Boys and a half-eaten pizza.
Yeah.
The first album cover, they are in pizza. But I feel like they might be wearing jail suits.
If they're wearing jail suits.
When they're standing on the pizza.
Cool.
But then there's 3 bigger versions of them outside.
Right.
You think about it, this is a kind of twisted cover. Wait a minute.
Hold on, can I pull this up? Because I actually...
Please, do.
Okay.
Is that it?
All right, so it's the Fat Boys.
Let me see.
3 miniature Fat Boys in jail suits on a pizza box. And then 3 giant Fat Boys outside of them in the pizza box holding ice cream, a hamburger, and a soda.
Wow. So when did that come out? When did that album come out? Or song?
I don't know, shit, man. 86, 80,
Oh, wow.
85.
No. Fat Boy's first album is Curtis Blow, right before Run DMC. So you're looking at Sound Sutra Records. My guess is 83 or 84.
Oh, yeah. I was definitely not thought of. That's an interesting cover, for sure.
Yeah. It's been a long time since something that fucking silly on a record that dope has been out. And let me see, I have one more. I'm just gonna do this because I have to, contractually, I have to say the last Run the Jewels cover.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, it's so personal to me. I just love it so much, and it's been an evolution of that. It's sort of been the same thing.
Right.
As evolving over.
Oh, and evolution is going to play a big part in our conversation.
It's a version of this.
You see that? I was like, you see that on the side
of the shoe, right?
I
saw it immediately. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, funny that you just point that out, because on the other shoe, right, and I'm skipping ahead, right, but
This one.
this is where you're at now, which is, Run the Jewels.
Right.
You recognize this? That dragon?
See, that one I'm gonna have to take a second. Hold on a second. That's the tattoo on the small of my back, isn't it?
It could be.
It's been so long since I've seen it. No.
It's been so long since you've seen it?
We'll just break it down. So that was one of the iconic neon signs from Blade Runner.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
you were talking about art, your artwork and your presentation. And I was just curious as to where does that come from? Like where does somebody who comes from Public Enemy and LL also have that happening?
Same time. I mean, if you track like Blade Runner,
right.
What was that, 82?
82, yeah.
So, I'm a child of that era, you know. All of that stuff seared its way into my brain right at that time when I was really discovering art, film, music. And New York City, at the time, it was covered in graph, and so all of these things were happening. I guess it's weird that that was such a potent time in my life that really influenced me. Later, as I started to get into reading, sort of really on my own, I discovered Philip K. Dick, who was the author of, that Blade Runner was based on.
Right.
And obviously is a very different sort of book. It all sort of lent itself to my aesthetic ultimately, which is interesting because you sort of realize that like there's a time in your life in which you're receiving information and sorting it out and kind of responding to it. And it really becomes, for every artist, no matter where you go, no matter how you evolve, it still sort of becomes, it remains a touchstone for you.
1,000%.
Even if you're not cognizant of it,
Right.
And so it would always annoy me that people would see that so clearly. It's like everyone would be like, it sounds like Blade Runner. And I'm like, fuck you. No, it doesn't. Yeah, it does, and because, it's all this connecting art where it's like, oh, so I saw the movie Blade Runner and that was amazing because I want a flying car and I don't know what the fuck is going on, but it's incredible and I want to live in that weird, wet, dark world.
Right.
And the music is fucking ill.
Damn.
And then you start, and then you're like, how do I get my hands on the music? And then you're like, well, maybe I should start getting my hands on other music too.
Right.
That's from films. And you start, and then aesthetically and intellectually, then you're like, I'm gonna read the author of the dude that this was based on. So I had these things going on and multiple things going on where I was getting sonically being influenced by something, visually being influenced by something, and intellectually being influenced by something. And it all kind of came from the same place. And that, of course, forms the basis for a lot of the different, ways that you go artistically.
That's dope.
And I think I sort of emotionally recognize this. I did not.
You have that tattooed, right?
No.
Oh, okay. I was like, I want to see.
Next question.
I do have Philip K. Dick book covers tattooed on me, though.
Oh, dope.
All on the small of his back. So one of the things that we always do with these shoes, right? Like, in creating these things, we stand on our foundation. Our foundation is what forms us, right? You've been part of many movements, many different things throughout your career, but you kind of always still stick to who you are, even though who you are evolves. Those core principles and a lot of those core aesthetics are still there. Right. So, speaking of standing on your foundations, I want you to look at the insoles here.
Yeah, we did something really cool.
So,
here, you take one shoe,
please.
So you lift up the insole.
Yeah.
So you like the insole, right? So you remember that artwork, right?
Keep the insole first.
The insole is incredible. So this is, oh man.
That's hot.
So this is, it's from the Funk Crusher Plus album cover. And the artist who did this was a guy by the name of Matt Dew.
Okay.
Who also did album covers like Organized Confusion, Extinction Agenda. Did he do like a Lyricist Lounge? Didn't he do some work for Raucous as well? Or? Yeah.
He did Body Rock.
He did Body Rock. And he passed away, so rest in peace to him. And it was based on a character that we had drawn for us by when we did the records independent. We did the Company Flow records independently first.
Right.
We lived in my mother had a loft that she rented rooms out in. That was how she made a little extra scratch. And we basically lived in that loft with like 7 other roommates. And when we made the Company Flow EP, the first stuff.
Right.
And our roommate, this girl, Marcy, drew this weird alien character in her sketchbook. I was just flipping through it one day.
Right.
And I was like, this is fucking incredible. This weird. And it was just like this fucking like, you know, this little demon just like looked like it was being crushed by, you know, external forces. So that was sort of, this was based on some of the early artwork that we put on, like some of the.
Well, that makes the next reveal even better because obviously this is something that originated from before you guys put this album out. Now there was a strong statement that came along with you guys' first real debut album.
Yeah.
I want you to look under the insole. It's a two-part thing.
2-part, yeah. Go ahead and take that out.
All right, I'm working on it. You know?
I'm excited. And look.
Hell yeah. Oh, okay. Does it say as fuck? Yeah.
And you know, can you guys get a close-up on this?
Yeah, this is amazing.
For sure? Can you guys get a close-up?
This is amazing.
So it's another surprise to this, too.
Really?
So, yep. You got an extra pair of insoles, so when you swap them out, you can see the independent as fuck underneath.
Wow.
And we made it look like the CD cover. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because underneath the CD
So
cover.
I designed this.
Yes,
Exactly. With Tim Ronan. Shout out to Tim Ronan, who was the in-house art guy at Rawkus Records. I was like, I want to do this was a cover to a 12-inch we put out with them. And I was like, I want to do the evolutionary line, and at the end, it's this fucked up little goblin.
Right.
You know? We were assholes. And but this is amazing.
You love it?
Yeah, I love it. They're just going to be levitating
And
like
I was going to ask you that. Okay, so look, these shoes was made for you. Okay. If it was to make this shoe for anybody else, how much would you sell them for? We need to know.
Well, I mean, how can you put a price on such mastery? How can you?
I like that. I like that answer. I like that answer. I do.
You know, you can't put a price on this type of artistic detail.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
And that's real. I'm not just gassing you up or saying something to get out of your uncomfortable question. But art is art, right? I mean, I collect art and I put it on a wall, and I never think to myself, what can I get for this?
Right. I like that.
It's just not. I already know what I got from it.
Right.
You know? And that's why I have it.
That's dope.
Yeah.
That's dope. So a display
I'm
case.
awesome. I'm just great.
Yeah.
Great guy. Great guy.
I love it. And I'm looking at your glasses, and I'm looking at the independent as fuck. It's the same
Kind of the same, same.
So if you decide to wear those, you have to wear those glasses too.
Hell yeah. No, I mean, trust me, I'm gonna rock these.
Yeah.
But they're so beautiful, and there's so much thought put into them that you know, I have a few that I'll rock them every once in a while.
Yeah.
And put them back in the box.
I love that.
You know?
I love that.
But that'll never die, like, you know.
Right.
But I'm not one of these people that won't rock them.
Right.
You know?
Okay.
And if they get dirty, they get dirty.
Yeah,
you know?
and the durability on these shoes is great. So you could climb a mountain in these, and nothing will happen.
You know, some people will make a custom shoe, right? And then they like the second you bend the toe, the paint something cracks.
Yeah. No, I'm actually amazed that. Is this paint?
No paint strokes, no nothing.
Well, you're a talented person, huh?
Secret.
That's incredible. That's incredible. It really is. Yeah, no, I would never have guessed that. And yeah, if you could fight a war in these.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right, brother. Thank you so much for coming by. We appreciate you.
LPZ.
We would literally be doing this all day.
Yeah,
really appreciate it.
So, before we get all the way out of here, I have to ask, what do you really think? Did you nail it?
Oh yeah, no, they're crazy.
Yeah.
They're crazy, man. I'm touched, like legit. Yeah.
You know,
it's you know, really thoughtful and like and not ugly.
Right. Well, that's the thing, is that, and it's hard to. I mean, it's easy to start out with a dope idea, just like music,
and have something get ugly real quick. And it can happen in an instant. It's like, yo, this rhyme I'm writing or this beat I'm making, you know, this idea that I'm putting together in the studio, it's like, yo, this is hard. And
I
then all of a
want
sudden,
to see the version that she was talking about where she was like, I was going to put all this shit on.
Well, you know what
Not
it
because
was.
I would want it,
Right.
but just because I want to know, like, what's in her head. Like,
well, I can give you some examples, like, because, you know, she's younger, right? So when you start showing her, like, imagery from Blade Runner, if you don't know the story and the setting, you're thinking it's like Tron. The neon lights, you know, and it's like, no, actually, this is like dark, depressing. It's well lit, you know, but like it's a very dark and dreary thing, and that's part of what makes the movie interesting. Is you have this,
it's a vibe,
right? And but the lighting plays such a big part of it. So initially, like they were talking about, you know, like maybe some like light up piping or whatever, you know, some glow in the dark stuff, and I'm like, no, this is not that kind of this is not that kind of sci-fi.
I would take it though. I wouldn't
Now,
be
here's the
mad.
thing
I
is
wouldn't be mad.
Right, but I think it wouldn't have related as well to the Philip K. Dick influence.
Totally.
You know what I mean?
There is a neon sort of noir, you know, aspect of it.
So it's like, how do we keep the balance of the glow and the dark together?
Well, this and I think these really kind of also kind of reflect that a little bit.
Right, they're already doing that. So it's like, you know, like your shoe is actually one of the ones that we dialed back a bit, or I was like, yo, don't, like you have enough here to talk about, but also like the fact that it's not covered in a lot of stuff actually allows what's here to really just shine.
Yeah, no, I love them, man. I'm really touched, and I think that they're awesome. I just realized that there was some symmetry here.
Yep.
Yeah.
It all ties together.
Yeah, man. So
Appreciate you, G. My man.
Yeah.
All right.